Another 3 weeks, having been here now for nearly 24 years. So in 3 weeks' time, that period will come to a close, and I'll be moving north to Blenheim in retirement. So.
We'll miss you.
Yes.
Catholic education was been involved with. There's apparently an Advent liturgy team as part of the parishes. Loads of teams that are responsible for work. I really like the children involved in planning at that stage with them, but it's still very new. So just really looking at ways we can do this. I have Jodie and her son and her other daughter. This was us loading. That was lovely. We actually got to physically put them on the train, to that need, and without making it obvious, but particularly with the events this year, that was really nice. And I had a lot of support from the parishes, people there, just keeping check. How are things going? How are we going? What's happening? Praying with 2 children. And we've done a lot of that work with the senior children, particularly with the Psalms. Our directive this term was really the Psalms, wasn't it, Maura? Really looking at them, studying them, reading them, praying them, and we wrote our own, and they are absolutely amazing, aren't they? From wee guys to our senior children, everything, the hands-on. This is much hands-on. They also took the lead in our Easter celebration, because Easter was a different time this year, and of course with events as they were, they were absolutely lovely in the Michael Mangan story, just gently providing that guidance. We didn't really have a lot of use of our church parish hall, parish centre, which we're going to for lunch. So we did another thing. We used the church as our venue for it, because it was going to be not a production, that's the wrong word.
Production, we're going through it. So, and we did try that. We spent a long time trying to make an acrostic poem out of St. Peter's, or just taking Peter, but it was trying to make things fit, and it wasn't working. And I think that's one of the things throughout our whole curriculum document. There was lots and lots of processes that we were taken through. We used e-time for the 3-year contract, and they came along and they showed us what other schools were doing and that sort of thing. But for us, it was really important that there be a point of difference with our school, being a Catholic school, being a Catholic community, and we wanted that reflected in everything we did. And we wanted to start with RE at the focal point. So,
Maura, I think that that last part, we just go back to the bit about gospel values being named, recognised and practised. Children can't practice forgiveness unless they know what forgiveness looks like. So in other words, they need to be able to recognise it and have a name for that action. So it's important that each of the gospel values, children have a name for it. They know the word forgiveness. They recognise it when it's happening, when other people extend forgiveness to
showing the
them.
other things, and it was a case of comparing and then trying to make things fit. With the key competencies, the parents came up with these a Catholic family of spiritual lifelong learners who are positive and collaborative, and as we went through each of these, we then went back to the document and said, okay, if we take what the parents have said, are we covering what the document says, the New Zealand curriculum? And so in the end, as you can see, it did. So for participating and contributing, it was positive and collaborative. It wasn't just enough to be participating and contributing. And you can see there's been quite deliberate use of the words being positive and being collaborative, that idea of community coming through. The compassionate and respectful is the relating to others, and again, quite a different slant though on just relating to others. If you're going to relate to others in a Catholic community, you need to be compassionate and respectful. The critical and creative covered the thinking using language, symbols and text, and then the last one, resilient, adaptive and productive, that was all about self-management. So again, we flip backwards and forwards. It was then our job as a staff to say, well, okay, how are we going to do that? So we went back to the Bible. And we took each one and we said, what does Jesus say about this? What does the Bible say about it? So under critical and creative, St. Peter's learners will follow the example of Jesus. Now we actually think that Jesus was the very first person to use inquiry approach learning and did it brilliantly. So we were going to best practice, that's best practice. So we went back there. Jesus exposed people to challenging ideas and expected them to identify their relevance and change behaviours accordingly. We will explore ideas and relate these to personal ideas, experiences and needs. Jesus welcomed questions, and out of these creative problem-solving settings he never answered a question straight. Never. It was always an example, and then what do you think? You were always challenged to think and also challenged to change your behaviour after you're thinking. Now, the purple hat comes in, what would Jesus think of this? Or what would he say? So again we go back, and that can come into every inquiry piece that we're doing. It came into our English focus on poetic writing. The actual unit was on poetry, but we used the Psalms as an example of poetic writing. It's not the only one. My children have done haiku, they've done shade poems, they've done all sorts of things. We just immersed ourselves in poetry. What were some of the similarities? And I think it was Sister Mary Woods, who originally came out to the staff, and she took a professional development session with us about how to actually use Psalms and what the structure of them was, and what kind of language was used in Psalms. So we ended up using it, and the results have blown us out of the water. We even got to the point where we were thinking, this is a skewed result, because would they write that well about anything else? But the point that we came to was, that's how all writing should be also. So, like St. Paul, I'll connect with others, make a positive contribution, balance rights, roles and responsibilities, and work well with others. And then we've done a rubric for that. So for each competency, we've gone into those rubrics, and it's really great for doing reports, because you just name the colours. The values. And Barry talked about that at the very beginning, and it's part of that mission statement. The main thing here is that we've actually taken it a little bit further. It's not just about this growing discipleship. I remember at the Catholic conference up in Wellington, they said, why is your school called St. Peter's? It's because that you're trying to be like St. Peter now, in this world, in this community, in this place. And so what we're really challenged to do is to grow that discipleship. So we don't have a discipline policy, we have a growing in discipleship. And the values came from two sources, and I know many of you have done the same thing, gone to the charism of the founding order, and also the integration agreement. So we looked at those, but then we went a step further, and it wasn't just, we could all sit there and name all the values, and we looked at the ministry document, and we found them there. But Barry said, no, we need to go back to our source. Go to the Bible. What are the values that are mentioned in there? So we have identified each of those. And in our document, I haven't bothered doing a slide, but in our document we actually have them all listed down, so that, right, because some of them are different. And the whole idea is that our document should be for St. Peter's School, not for Thornton School or for any other school, but it should be for ours. And so back with the mission, our founding charism identifies 4 key dimensions to our foundation of values. So we've tried to actually reflect that in our social sciences and in our sciences and our technology as well, because we're looking at justice, personal integrity and responsibility, respect and shalom for peace. We looked at the spirit of the founding order and trying to pick from that what our compass was telling us. Taking special care to build a strong sense of community, fostering cultural pursuits integrated with a sense of faith in Christ. As a Catholic school, we teach religious education and 8 other areas, not 8 other areas and then RE. And RE is not a secret. It has its own place in the curriculum document. We have our own program, but it's not a separate. It's not just this is the little block here. It's coming into everything. We went back to the Bible again for a context in which to teach every single one of these. We should be able to justify every single curriculum area, and if we are taking an integrated approach, if we can't do that, it shouldn't be happening. So we went to through each curriculum area and basically justified how and why we would teach it as part of our program. And then for each of those, we then went to the essence of each of those subject areas. I have to put it in. We went to each one of these areas, and I think I have got it there somewhere, and we looked at the biblical context, but also the essence of the topic of the curriculum area, and then what we've identified as our school as being the main part of that we want to teach. I've got it in a couple of handouts that I'm going to give you. Not that.
And a lot of these are not sort of as far-fetched as they might initially look. For example, mathematics in the Bible, when Jesus said that we forgive one another not 7 times, but 7 times 7, he wasn't actually talking about 49. The 7 was a sacred number at the time. We've got the 12 disciples and 12 tribes of Israel and so on. 12 was a sacred number. So mathematics is actually very important, certainly in the Old Testament. And so that sort of biblical basis gives us, I guess, the purpose for having mathematics in our curriculum.
It is integrated where we can, for instance with the Psalms, but obviously within English, reading, writing and speaking are the most important things. Within maths, numeracy is the most important thing. And it's reflected in our timetables. They're standalone, but then for the other curriculum areas of science, social sciences, technology, etc., we've decided to go with the rich topic approach. So the school year, and we have only just introduced this, this is a growing document. It's got scribbles all over it, and we're about to do a review on Tuesday next week and looking at next year. We're constantly looking at how we're going to change it. One of the things we found was trying to do 4 rich tasks a year was just about impossible. We were almost burning ourselves out. Doing great, but burning ourselves out. So we decided that at the beginning of the year we'd start with 5 weeks. We call it foundation time. And basically we've gone back to the Bible. There are 3 themes in the Bible that we wanted to look at. One is Genesis, which is the creation of a learning environment. It's also a covenant time when we do a class covenant or class treaty, and you would see that if you get a chance, and I'll stop talking long enough and you can go there and have a look. You will actually see in each room, each class has then made that their own. You don't have a covenant for the whole lot. Each class does it in their own speak, looks for their own ones. One year my children actually, and it actually teaches the skills, but it teaches the skills to the whole class so that the others can recognise when someone's trying to use a skill. Because if someone's trying to actually be persuasive rather than docile, which is one of my favourites, especially year 3 girls, is not good enough just for the child who is the little bossy boot, and you say, well, maybe we'll teach you some people skills here and you could do it as a suggestion, instead of telling people what to do. If you've actually taught the language to the whole class, then the rest of the class can recognise it as a discussion rather than a bossing situation. Likewise, if you're going to teach a child how to join in and you say, okay, you stand at the edge of the game and you make a nice comment about the game, if the rest of the class isn't in on it and knowing that that is a signal that they want to join in, they're just going, yeah, this is great fun, and they just carry on. They don't stop and go, would you like to join us? So the idea is to teach the skills. The other school base that we have in here is, and it comes into this culture as well, is the Robert Pereira and the ABC paradigms, which I'm pretty sure everybody people know about. giving them a chance to have a look. So you can't change the bully, but you can change the culture that they're trying to work in.